Good morning. Got another project I'm working on. Been itching to get this done for a while, but I just had to suck it up and get to it before we go there. See that elm on the rock there? Well, although we did have storms around, that's not lying that way because of the storm. I placed it that way so that that part right there will become the apex, become dominant, and suck up all of the energy, well, most of the energy. And I wanted to increase girth as compared to this. This is the apex of the plant in the growing position that I've designed it for. But I want this to thicken up a bit more. So now that I've turned this up, that's going to work a bit better. I had a friend to come by and while I was out of town and set that back up right for me. What a nice person. Yeah, they didn't understand what I was doing, but it was laid over like that and they just put it back in its normal position. But anyway, that's so that the energy can go up this cascading branch, and I'll get a bit more girth on that. Also, I take the branches and just flex them around a little bit, especially when I notice that there's a growth spurt coming on. It put micro fissures in the cambium, and then as the cambium heals over, it increased the girth. Alright, this is the conundrum. What came first, chicken or the egg? Anybody knows the answer to that. Everybody knows the answer to that. Well, the egg was too chicken to lay, and the chicken was too chicken to sit on the egg. So, oh, that's no answer. We're back at square one. They're both chickens. The egg hiding in its shell and the chicken just being a chicken. Well, anyway, the project is I'm going to take this stone, and you can see there it's nearly, well, it's about right at 30 inches tall. That's a 36-inch ruler, yardstick, if you will, and I'm going to carve that up, trim it up, do something with it, and put something on it. I've been thinking about this for a while, and we'll see. So I'm gonna have to break out some heavy-duty tools and decide which side I'm going to use and what angle and all of that fandangle stuff. Like I said, I'm no stylist, but even less, I am no engineer. So we're going to just do it my way, and that's just the way to get it done. Alright, hold on a second. Okay, you've seen this jewel in other videos, I'm sure. But anyway, that's what I want to put on that rock. And in case you were wondering, this is a sarissa. If I can get my shadow off of that. Yeah, that's a pretty good trunk that's developed there. I've said in the past, and I'll just repeat it, a lot of my pots I'll just take clippings, cuttings of whatever I'm working on or standing next to it, and I'll stick it in pots just to grow, just to mix and match. Sometimes I do it just to get the color if it's a flowering plant, and I'll stick it into another pot. It's just so I can have some local color. But sometimes it turns out so well In fact, at one point, this whole rim was rimmed with sarissas, and I believe it was in early 2020 I pulled this whole thing down and took those other sarissas out, and I left this one here. And I'm thinking this, well, I'm hoping it's a pink, but at any rate, this juniper gets well watered, it gets well fertilized, and so now I'm about ready to do that. And again, this was a small plant that I started from little or nothing, and it's done pretty well sitting here. And I've got others, and I just think that I want to do a very large root over rock juniper. The Procumbens nana is one of my favorites of all of my bonsai stuff, and so I'm going to give it a shot now. And I'll say this, generally speaking, you go down and you, from the bottom up, you trim and style the branches, and then you pull it out of the pot. But for me, time is limited, and at this point I'm just going to do it all. I'll get all this stuff moved into my work area, and then I'll just give it a shot, and I'll see what that sarissa does, depending on what the roots look like, how long they, well, the roots are going to be all the way to the bottom, but if they're very interesting, you know, I'll just come up with a style and design. And right now I'm going crazy with root over rock, because I need a bunch of those, you know, sitting around. And rocks don't go anywhere. Pots crack in the winter time. They crack with exposure to the sun. They crack if they fall on the ground. So if I can do this root over rock and get the plant to survive on that rock only, I'm good. But again, I keep moving around and experimenting with things, doing different styles and techniques. Well, hold on. These are little junipers, and I've got something in mind for one that's cascading down like this in this green pot. This is a juniper I wired last year, and this I knocked over and broke the crown out of it. That juniper right there, I actually picked that up in Texas years ago, and it's doing pretty nice. So you can see I've got some large junipers here. And again, one of the junipers I grew from little or nothing over time, and basically in the state that it's in, it's too large for me to ship. And I heard a news story here recently, the post office is going bonkers with rates and canceling out services and changing the first class service that they have for letters and small packages, which means everything goes up in rate. So, and here's another long flowing juniper. So I've got some things in mind for that one and the other that I showed you there. There's another, and pots and pots of them. I have even more in the back. And so anyway, for right now, you can see that down there, how high it reaches up and then cascades over. That would do pretty well on a rock underneath that arch. So that's pretty good. So anyway,